Hello again. So have you ever heard of something called like a life hack? So here's kind of what mathematicians were thinking. If I need to solve these crazy x squared things, like if I needed to solve this, what they said is let's set it equal to 0. All right, so I'm going to do that over here. But over here, I'm going to kind of talk about why. Okay, so again, we have this one chunk with two things inside of it times this one chunk with two things inside of it, and it equals 0, right? So this is one of those FOIL problems. Technically, I'm supposed to get like multiply those and get x squared minus 3x, and then do the 2 times both and get positive 2x minus 6, and combine those and be like, okay, x squared minus 1x minus 6 would be that one simplified, right? But wait, up here, think about it, equals 0 equals 0. That's going to be really hard to solve. But up here, something times something equals 0. Well, isn't anything times 0, 0? Or vice versa, 0 times anything, 0? So it's either you need to make this chunk, the x plus 2 equal to 0, or this chunk, the x minus 3 equal to 0, because just one of them needs to turn into 0, because 0 multiplied by anything is just 0. So I think you could do this in your head. What plus 2 equals 0? Well, that would be negative 2. Yeah. And what minus 3 is 0? 3 minus 3 is 0. So those would be my two answers for my x squared equation. And actually, if you plug them back in here, I could prove it, right? Because negative 2 squared would be positive 4, negative 2 times negative 1 would be plus 2, and then minus 6. Oh yeah, 4 plus 2 minus 6 is 0. And then I could plug in this positive 3 also works. Well, if you plug 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. Plug in 3 here, minus 1 times 3. So minus 3 and then minus 6. Oh yeah, 9 minus 3 is 6, minus 6 equals 0. Oh yeah, those are the two things that would make it equal 0. So it's so much easier to see here. So coming over to this problem, we steal that idea of FOIL and work backwards, and we call it reverse FOIL. We just think, okay, I know this setup, I can factor this. We call this factoring because we're trying to say like what comes into the number, like we're trying to think what goes into 14, what are the factors of 14. Factors go into a number, so like the factors of 14, really, there's only a couple options. It could be 1 times 14 or 2 times 7, and that's just it. But we remember that they have to multiply, right? These numbers are the factors that multiply to be 14. But remember, they have to add in the middle. They got to combine. How can you combine these numbers and get negative 9? Well, if it was negative 2 and negative 7, and I added those two together, that would equal negative 9. Oh yeah, and negative 2 times negative 7 would also be positive 14. So that's my winner. That is the reverse FOIL of this quadratic. And if I go in and set it equal to 0, oh, make this chunk 0, 2. Make this chunk 0, 7. 7 minus 7 is 0. Oh, wow, that's some really complicated solving there. Now, technically, I should set them separately, equal to 0 and solve, but we can do that in our head, okay? So that is reverse FOIL. It comes quicker to some people than others. There's lots of examples here in the packet. There's also like special situations, like what if you had, if I FOIL forward, like what if I had x plus 7 squared? Well, we know you cannot distribute that 2. No. You cannot distribute that exponent because you have addition here. You can't like do the 7 squared in the x squared. because you wouldn't be squaring this whole chunk. We know this whole thing to the second actually means x plus 7 times x plus 7. And then people get fast, right? They practice and they practice because they know x times x, that's always going to be x squared. They know 7 times 7 is 49, right? So they say, oh, we know it adds and combines in the middle, so we get 7x and 7x. Wouldn't that be 14x? So they just start to see patterns like, oh, 7 times 7, 7 plus 7, oh, x plus 7 times x plus 7, or x plus 7 squared, okay? So you got perfect squares and all of that stuff. I think that's all of it. There's a lot of you try problems. You can just work right here online. You can work on this, you can practice, it will tell you if you're right or not. It will tell you special cases. This is a top 5 skill of your entire math career here at Byron Center. So I would take it serious, okay? We need you to figure this out, okay? I will help you, classmates will help you. There's a lot of people that are doubling up in Honors Algebra 2. So make sure you make it a goal. I'm gonna figure out forward FOIL and reverse FOIL, or factoring. I can put it together, multiply them together, but I could also break it apart and practice all those scenarios and then use that life hack to solve. Okay, I'm gonna use that hack of reverse FOIL, set it equal to 0 and solve. I guess the last advice I would give you is remember, they won't all equal 0. Okay, so you need to do that little bit of algebra. Like you might have a problem like this, that's like, I don't know, something like x squared minus 5x plus 1 equals negative 5. Okay, so you have this, well, that doesn't equal 0. Well, one step, you can make it equal 0. Add 5, add 5. Okay, so now there's literally nothing there. There's nothing on the right side, so you just put a 0. And then you have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. And then you go, 6, 2 times 3? Oh, 2 plus 3, but it's a negative, so it must be negative 2 plus negative 3 to give me the negative 5. And negative 2 times negative 3 would give me a positive 6. And then so my answers to that original equation, sure enough, if you plug in 2 here, 2 squared, 4, 10, 4 minus 10, negative 6 plus 1 would be negative 5. Okay, so it solves the original problem. We just did the hack of setting it equal to 0 and reverse FOILing. All right, trust me, the next ones will be quicker. Thanks. Oh, it's not there for me to turn off.